Do you find it difficult to focus on your customers and even your own employees as you're juggling numerous vendors? Do you have more meetings with vendors than you can count? And do their reports filled with technical jargon make you feel clueless and frustrated? Such is the story of Nathan. Being at a car dealership, he's concerned about his store's digital marketing presence and invests most of his time dealing with vendors to promote his business and gain more sales and market share. Nathan is busy handling reports and reviewing them, not knowing what is happening on the advertising front and about his true ROI. Poor Nathan is worried but can't figure out a solution until he found BZ Consultants Group. BZ Consultants stepped in and was able to take the digital marketing vendor burden off Nathan's plate, giving him peace of mind that the best interest of the dealer was always top of mind. Being an unbiased third party, BZ Consultants always made sure to relay the reports in easy, relatable, and actionable ways so that Nathan could best utilize the data. Now, Nathan can focus on what he really wanted, the customer experience and growth. By being your digital marketing business partner, BZ Consultants Group will remove the hassle of trying to hold your vendors accountable and increase your productivity with the time you will now have armed with true data. Together, we make it possible because your success is our goal.
Welcome into Facts Not Feelings. Officially now, we are the Furniss Fast Lane. We're Facts Not Feelings with Furniss Fast Lane. And I am so excited right now to bring in Bob Gower. And Bob, we already have multiple comments rolling in right now. We've got Peter Smith. Peter, not only are you looking forward to this right now, I am looking forward to this right now. We've got Patrick saying just a flat out, just a fire emoji. And I would have the fire emoji going as well, but you can just feel the fire emoji because I am a furnace. So there is fire coming out right now as well. We've got Charity going, I think that's woo-woo. I'm just going to see, I think in the comments, it was back wahoo. So we got woohoo and wahoo coming through. We've also got Larry, hello to you. Larry, my dear, dear friend, Larry, I hope that you made it. I know that you called. I was a little slammed, so I hope you made it home safely last night. We've got Russell. We've got comments rolling in like crazy right now, Bob. We've got Russell saying, Bob, you are such an icon in the business. So happy Brooke has you on. Well, Bob, you kind of read my mind. Or Russell, you read my mind. That I am myself. I'm super, super stoked to have him on right now. Charity saying, I'm excited to learn more from both of them. Russell saying, let's go grow and learn and earn. Russell, every time you say that, I have to like super slow down because I'm a fast talker and like try to say that without getting tongue tied. And Roberto, because I said that last week. I'm like, I hope I didn't slaughter your name. And there's my Spanish speaking right there. So Bob, let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Your episode dropped yesterday. It was a stellar episode. I learned so much from you. There were so many takeaways. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Let's go with your first takeaway from your amazing episode about yesterday that dropped, all about customer service, reviving customer trust, about the customer retention. Doesn't have to be your number one takeaway, but just one of your first takeaways from the show that dropped yesterday.
Well, I think what's really, well, first of all, thank you, because you made it a success. I just, I'm kind of a bookmarker in the book, but you're the book cover. So I just got to say, hey, thanks for everybody reaching out and saying such nice things. What's really interesting about experience, when you get experienced, you get it's exposure. So you either have, we used to say in the business, you either have tenure of 1 year experience or you have 10 years of experience, right? Mm-hmm. So the neat thing about being consulting in most of my life in automotive is the fact that we get to see lots of stores. So I just came back from a store visit yesterday and I love going in the store. So I think the takeaways are, we started with really 3 critical points that I believe are key in any business. And that's clarity, communication, right? Which leads to commitment. When you do those 3 things right, you get trust. So to me, those are the fundamentals to get started with. But I think it leads to a second point, which I think where most dealers struggle with today. And I see a lot of friendly faces on here, and all of us have the same issue. And the issue is we live in a very complex business today in automotive. It's not as simple as it used to be. So if you look at anything from incoming leads to following up on unsold customers to retention in the service lane, There's a lot of basics, which are the three we mentioned, but I think it goes a little further than that because today it's very complicated. So if you take a look today at the things that are available for a consumer, the question really is, does the deal, and it goes back to the three C's as always, it's, does the dealership understand what the customer interface looks like? Are they really clear on what they're trying to accomplish? What's the customer trying to accomplish? Then how does the dealer align, communicate properly with the customer, and commit their resources to be able to deliver so they can have that trusting environment? So, no matter where you turn, we talked about internet a little bit. We talked about the fact that when leads come in today, you're getting them instead of phone calls. So if you look at a typical store, let's say it gets 1,000 leads a month, that used to be 1,000 phone calls in for sales. Today, it's about 750 of those are web leads, about 250 are sales calls. And I think we forget to connect the clarity there is those customers that sent leads, we think they don't want us to talk to them because they would have called us on the phone. That's one of the biggest myths I see today where we don't connect. Because when we call those customers back within the first minute that we get the lead, 48% of them will connect with us. So we know the data says that the customer will connect. It's just not their first method to do it. So we roll that out and say, we'll wait and exchange emails and texts until they're ready. Matter of fact, the data, I love the data because the data tells the real truth.
Yeah.
So you look at the data today. I think that'll give you real good clarity. So if you look at leads today, you need to talk to 4 times more people than you are today. And that's by picking up the phone. So with the phone is still really important to us. It's a high tech, high touch situation we're in today, but don't get rid of the high touch for high tech only. Right. So that's what I think is really important. And
I like how Peter said in here, the 4 C's I added in collaboration into the mix. And I like how he added that as well. So I love you. I put in there, I love how you put the 3 C's there. I love that. And you got me talking a little bit about how to expand on that a little bit. So I just love the 3 C's there. Very, very true, sir. Very, very true.
But then it leads, as you guys know, it leads to another problem. So if I need to pick up the phone and touch that customer within 20 seconds to a minute to get 4 or 5 times more conversations, do I have the staff to do it? Do I have the process to do it? And what we're seeing is that while we're thinking about in service, we miss about 20, 25% service calls today in the average store because we're just overwhelmed with calls during certain hours. It's not after hour calls that we're missing. We're missing calls at 9 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, when I talk about these things about clarity, and being able to communicate properly, that sounds great, but then you need the next step, which is, can you execute against those? What does that look like? Because it gets complex. So in a typical dealership, they're missing about 40% of their opportunities. Even if I can get them to a phone call in 20 seconds with that customer, 40% of the time, they can't get there. The dealership, everybody's tied up. They're working deals. They're with customers already. They're on the phone. They're handling leads, whatever they're doing. So when you look at this process, you got to look at it from all the ways from the beginning through the end, because that's where stores break down. So if I look at our business today, where are those complex areas? I would say, if you can get to those leads fast enough, that's great. What do you have in place to ensure you can do that? And then how do you back that up when you're extremely busy is really important. So you also need a safety net behind your normal processes to catch the people that you can't catch in your normal process. So, we talked a little bit about incoming internet leads. That applies across the business though today. So if you look at service, it's the same thing. So if you're missing those peak time calls, how do you recover from that? Revenue never does well go in the voicemail. I know that as a truth, right?
But people are checking their voicemails. What are you talking about? That little blinking light. What does that mean? Oh, wait, we have voicemail? What is this crazy concept at dealerships?
And then let me give you the other part of it. Everybody's busy. So, in stores that we visit, you always get this in the lane, right? Just hold on just a minute. Right? Just 1 minute. I'm on the phone. So you're overwhelmed. And so you really need the ability to be able to take those calls off the lane. It's the best place and the worst place because of that. So that creates another set of problems. So what do I do with those, right? Internal BDCs, hybrid BDCs, outsourced BDCs are all available today. So I'm like, So you really got to have a plan for that, though. And then when we get to the key word, I think in the industry that we're moving toward, I hear it all the time. It's one of those words that's really thrown around a lot today, but I'm not sure we understand how to fix it yet, and it's retention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you and I talked about that. If you have a bad service experience, will you come back? Is there a process to get the customer in the door from the first service visit? Is there a lot of confusion? You know, you told me a great story about your free oil change. It's not free, right?
Still haven't had my car service since then.
You know, I'm going to have one of my dealers call you today because they should be coming out to your house to change the oil in your driveway. I'm telling you, I know how busy you are just getting on this podcast. So going to the dealership is not to your advantage. Okay.
And Georgia's got a good thing here. Thank you for contacting ABC Dealership. We appreciate your call, but not enough to actually talk to you. Please stand by for an unbelievably long list of options on bloated phone trees.
Exactly. So let me take you to what's new. You know, I was asked yesterday, what's the future of this business look like? What do you see as next opportunities? And I'm like, you know, I could touch a button on your website to schedule an appointment, and I could be on a coupon page that you have, and I want to schedule it right then and there because I have the coupon right in front of me. So how can I get there? Well, I could send a text, I could call, but today I could touch a button and actually do video chat with somebody at the dealership. Mm-hmm. So you got all these neat tools, right? And I'm like, but who on the other end of it's going to catch that? That's the problem. The fulfillment side of all this technology is where it's really difficult. You know, pickup and delivery. I was in a store last week, and they literally write about 2,500 euros a month. That's a pretty sizable store. They do 5 pickup and deliveries a day.
Yeah.
So they're not even touching pickup and delivery, right?
No.
And why is that? You know, if you ask, is it because they don't want to provide the service? No. Well, the OEMs supplement their pickup and delivery service. Most of them will, not all of them. So what's the number one thing holding them back? Daily execution of that, right? Yeah. So when we look at that, it's we used to say, John Traver, you know, I've known him for a very long time. He's from your backyard. And, you know, he taught us one thing, some assembly required. So when you look at the things you have in a dealership, there's some assembly required. And, you know, I'm a developer. He's an innovator. And so I take his ideas and I change them. Sometimes I'm much to his chagrin, I'm sure, but I do change them, you know? And so he makes a white wall. I change it to blue, you know, he builds a bathroom. I want to extend it into a mini suite. So in the car business, it's kind of the same thing, right? So the concept to me today is less assembly required is probably needed today, not more assembly required, right? So when he says some assembly, I'm going, we actually need the least amount of assembly possible. So, you know, what's stopping those stores is that they're not logistics experts. So moving cars is not their forte. Can they get it done? Yes. Can they get mobile service out to you? Yes. But you're going to see it in limited numbers until they can figure out that they really need some help being able to do the things that they can't do because of just that area. It's too complex. It's overwhelming. So a lot of dealers started doing some simple processes during COVID. They've quit doing them. Not because I think they want to quit doing them, they can't sustain them. So I say, when you go back to clarity, the first C you're really looking for, you know, do you understand what the process looks front to back? Where are the gaps? Where are your biggest opportunities? And I still go back to the word retention today because we all know that we leave so much on the table when it comes to fixed operations today in these dealerships.
And
so
to your point, you've got so many people chiming in here on retention. Okay. You've got Peter Smith saying here, first off, apparently Peter's now quoting you here, is love it. Revenue never does well, going to voicemail. Going to quote you on that one, Bob. You've got Russell saying retention is a huge focal point. Russell also chiming in just back to your point about retention and everything you were saying about this huge. And Stephen coming in here and always just, when Stephen talks, we all just shut up and listen because Stephen is a wealth of knowledge. Is that the service department and the sales department? There's the service department and the sales department. Both are totally disconnected from each other, and that causes a customer journey fragmentation. Connect the disconnected. One mission, one journey before and after in capital letters, which means we're yelling right now after the vehicle sell. And that is the whole point, is that we get to this point. It's like, okay, so I sell the car and now what? Oh, I'm just not going to talk to you forever. Or I call in, I need to schedule my appointment. Oh, and to your point is that we were talking on the show as well, is that your clients, even their call, it's a service, it gets kicked back to the service department. Oh, they're not going to answer. It gets kicked back to you. You're like, whoa, no, you have to pick up the phone. Like, I can't, you guys need to pick up the phone. So this is a staffing issue. It's a process. It's a people, process, and product. Like, where is the disconnect right now? If you don't have enough people to pick up the phone, okay, do we need to hire more people? Is it a process issue? Do we need to hire some type of another product to help out the people? Like, where is this disconnect right now? Because that I have so many stories about the voicemail issue, whether it's we're never going to pick up the voicemail and they're proud about it, or hey, we didn't know we had voicemail, or we're just going to completely turn off voicemail because no one listens to it anyways. Then the customer, like, so there's so many things to look at this, and it's not just from service, this is sales as well. Like, what is the process? And if you are going to have voicemail turned on, who is checking that? I can tell you just this week, I'm trying to schedule an appointment for my doctor. I left the voicemail on Monday. It is now Friday. I have not heard back. Like, that's a doctor's appointment. So that's kind of important, I would check, especially for me. This happens to do with my eyes. So anyone that's been following this part, kind of important with me in particular to make sure my cornea transplant hasn't rejected, like really important for that stuff. So to all of this, like, these things are really, really important. So what is your process and how are you holding people accountable? And so I love that when we were talking about that to even you all, I was like, hey, you guys, you need to pick up the phone. So so many things were dropped, whether in the episode about improving that process, that the communication, the clarity, all those different things. And as Peter said up here, I think, Peter, you said collaboration. We're adding another C there. So I think we made it now 4 C's, Bob. I hope you're okay with that.
That's great. I think I froze up, but you can still hear me, right?
I can still see you. You at least you froze up in a way that your face is not in a weird position, so we're okay.
At least I'm not scaring any of your children anywhere in the audience.
You know what? You didn't fall off the screen, so we're okay. Your voice is still coming through. Okay. We've got Peter Smith also coming in here and saying, as Larry says, pick up the damn phone. Voicemail is the death of retention. So I know that you're frozen here. So we're going to wrap up here just because I know you're frozen here for a hot second. It's the joys of going live. You just never know what's going to happen here. So with that, if there's anybody else that, what else were your takeaways? What else did you, when you listened to the episode, what did you take away from the episode, or any other questions you have? Throw them in the comments here. Otherwise, I guess I know we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. So like I said, it's the joys of going live. You never know what's going to happen. But with that, Bob, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your knowledge. And I'm going to put your link up here for those that are watching right now. How can everyone get in touch with you? How can they find you if they would like to speak with you?
Yeah, so it's easy. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. If you want a immediate response, just call my cell phone. I'll be glad to point you in the right direction, whatever your questions are. So you guys can reach me at my 713-320-9436. So be glad to point you in the right direction. So I think you guys are right on track. We used to get 7 times more calls in the service lane than we did in sales. Today, I saw a number that said 21 times more. And the reason for that is because we're not picking up the phone on status updates. So the customers are calling back repeatedly times and really jamming up our phone networks. So if you can pick the call up the first time, you'll eliminate 3 times more calls that you have to deal with than you do today. I think that's really key. And I think the second thing before I leave, Brooke, is, at a dealer group I was at this week, they reminded me that the average car in the marketplace is 12 years old. Mm-hmm. The customers are not calling for oil changes. Guys, we handle thousands of customers, hundreds of thousands of calls a day, and less than 15% of those are oil changes. They're complex calls today. Lots of miles in these vehicles, which means lots of opportunity. So with that, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. Well, we'll round it out here. We've got Russell saying, Russell, thank you. I mean, it's my pleasure to have on. It's because of awesome guests like Bob. Let's be honest, the show and audience like you all, that the show exists. So Russell saying, thank you for having on a very special guest today. You are awesome, Bob. So you're getting a lot of love in the comments here. We got Roger saying one more time, gain more women in prime positions and train your guys that most have different communication styles. Yes, I would agree with that as well. So is Bob.
So Roger, you'd really like to know the last dealer group I came from 4 out of 5 of the service directors were women.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, it makes a big difference. I mean, that is your chief purchasing officer. So if you don't have women in those positions, and if you don't have a selling style, and if you're not catering to that female, that chief marketing purchasing officer, you're lighting money on fire. And Charity is saying, great guest. Charity, I would agree with that. I'm a little biased, but I think that is an awesome guest as well. So I would agree with that as well. I would have to agree with that. Bob, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you for an incredible episode yesterday. If you all have not had a chance to check it out, anywhere you get your podcast, it's on YouTube, wherever you get it, it's out there. Definitely go check out Bob. He is a wealth of knowledge, as you all are seeing right now. I learned so much from him. It has been a pleasure getting to know you and to learn from you so much. I super appreciate it. And as always, everyone, find a way to serve today. Find a way to help your fellow neighbor, your colleague, wherever it may be, whether that is opening a car door, whether that is just a simple smile. Just find a way to serve today. And with that, everyone, we will see everybody next week.